Good morning and welcome to the Frontiers of Knowledge segment of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. The human curiosity, search, and not only why but why not that propel innovative approach is never ending. Just imagine, could you have ever thought that your immune system can remain young forever? Of course, this eternity is for the lifetime. But then, when you grow old, your immune system becomes weaker. And here come in Israeli scientists who have figured out a way to keep the human immune system as young as you were when you were 17, 18. They have eliminated the vulnerability that the elderly people have to face. You see, when the human body encounters a new pathogen, such as a virus, COVID-19 is the latest situation, or a microbe, it generates cells, memory B, lymphocytes. And that generation of cells creates a tailor-made response to that pathogen. However, but people have a particularly hard time fighting up the new pathogens because the new pathogens are much cold, much more dangerous, and the body cannot recognize the new pathogens and how to deal with it. As we said, the antibodies are not there. So the vaccines basically are designed to provoke by giving the body something that it can create a specified immune response system. It has been known quite some time that the older people are less effective in creating memory B lymphocytes. But Reem Dowry, working under the guidance of Professor Doran Malifon of Ruth and Bruce Faculty of Medicine, they have come up with some excellent technology. I'll call it innovation par excellence. And according to them, the memory B lymphocytes responsible for the immune memory give out a hormonal signal to bone marrow cells responsible for the new cell regeneration, which impede the creation of new cells. When the older people become older, the new cells cannot be created. And what happens is the body is filled with B lymphocytes, which are not cleared, and the whole body is jam-packed with the old lymphocytes. There is no place for the new ones. The older you get, the less you are able to produce the memory cells. So the response to the new illnesses fades over time. But they have discovered the mechanism, and they have found that the way out is to create a system that can remove those cells from the body so that the space is created and the new cells can be generated. The treatment for certain medical conditions like lupus, lymphoma, multiple sclerosis is to remove a significant number of memory B lymphocytes from the patient's body. And it was found that when those lymphocytes were removed, the patients could produce highly potent B lymphocyte cells, replacing those aged, old, diseased, partly dead cells. So it was a process of decluttering. You declutter your wardrobe to put in new clothes. So they decluttered the body's immune system, removed older B lymphocytes, and body itself generated new ones, and voila, you are young again. So the route to the regenerating the immune system was to inhibit one of the hormones involved in suppressing new memory lymphocytes from being produced by the bone marrow. Now, the significance of this is that the future generations could have their immune system kept in tip-top conditions throughout their entire life. And that would end the vulnerability of elderly people to the new diseases. This time, when the vaccination was to be done, it was first done for the old people, then for the comparatively younger old, then the young, and so on. But with the new system, or the new technology being that has been involved rather in Israel, a 70-year-old can be as young as 30-year-old because the body and the immune system have been cleaned and decluttered. So the hope of remaining young even when you're old and fight the disease is going on. And then we know the conditions are changing, the climate is changing, it's becoming hot. Extreme heat is there. This time, this summer, they say is the hottest summer in the memory. So what happens? How to beat summer? You can't wear rayon and nylons and synthetic fibers. So here come in Chinese universities, 3 of them joined hands and they created a new fabric. They call it meta fabric. Now, meta fabric is a fabric that helps you survive the extreme heat. So you dress up in meta fabric, and it's a textile woven with nanoparticles, and those particles reflect the sunlight away from the wearer, keeping them cool even in the extreme heat. So those nanoparticles are in your shirt, say, and the sun rays fall. The sun rays, when they fall, would cause heat. That's why shade is always preferred to the sunshine in the summer. So, but then these nanoparticles, instead of absorbing heat, reflect heat, and you remain cool. And this serves an alternative to the running air conditioning. Air conditioning, is extremely harmful to the environment from the environmental perspective. The freon and other gases are harmful. So this metafabric comes a boon. What they did, they made a shirt. Half of the shirt was made of metafabric, the other half was made of cotton. Cotton is supposed to be cool. And the student was asked to stand in the sun who was wearing this shirt, the guinea pig, for 1 hour. When the time was up, the half of the student's body covered by the meta fabric was 5 degrees cooler than the other side. Then there were longer tests, skin stimulating hardware, and this gives a hope that there is an alternative to energy intensive ACs, polluting ACs, and you just wear a shirt and go out. But then imagine what happens. Cancer kills. But can you kill cancer cells? Yes. A new technology has come, biocompatible thin film. Now this thin film is basically an advancement on chemotherapy. It creates a certain heat which kills the cancer cells. Human cells, we know, are vulnerable to intense heat. And the moment the body temperature reaches above 42.5 degrees Celsius, the human cells die. This is called thermotherapy, heat therapy. It is also called hyperthermia. As a matter of fact, the first time it was used was not done today or yesterday. This was done way back by a Greek physician, Hippocrates. All the doctors, when they become doctors, take an oath of Hippocrates that they'll serve the poor without any financial gain and things like that, which they take out and then forget about the next moment anyway. So, Greek physician Hippocrates had used this therapy to eliminate cancer. But then this fell into disuse. According to this, when the tumor tissue is heated, the surrounding normal cells are also exposed to heat. Although the blood vessels in the normal tissues can dilate to release heat, the blood vessels in the tumor cells cannot. So, while the other cells are dissipating heat, the cancer cells cannot dissipate, so they reach a high temperature. And combining chemotherapy with thermotherapy makes a patient better again. So thermotherapy is promising as a cancer treatment, and the current methods require large devices for emitting radio waves. But this compatible thin film, it is applied to the body, the film. Heat is applied, and it protects the normal cells from the intense heat, and it is concentrating heat on the cancer cells. And this is compatible with the body, so you don't remove it, you place it in the body, and in a matter of weeks after the treatment is over, the film becomes a part of the body. But then have you thought that the medical treatment can be used for applying polymeric thin film? Wearing a watch, wearables have become very common, and you are aware of the watches for your exercise. But then what happens? Wearing a watch or a device on the body can cause skin irritation. There's a mismatch in the softness. So soft metals such as rubber can be used to avoid the mismatch. But this in turn leads to durability. So Fuji Laboratories have developed a highly flexible polymeric thin film, which is softer, flexible, and comfortable. So flexible induction heater based on polymeric thin films for local thermotherapy is ideal for the cancer patients. And how do you do it? You need an inkjet printer with special ink, which is called the conductive ink, to dry circuit on the polymer thin films. It's possible to create a device, and with the help of the inkjet printer, you create a device that emits light and energy locally and cures the patient. But it doesn't end here. Now the University of California, San Diego, they have come with a soft skin patch. Now what does it do? It gives you early warning of strokes and heart attacks. This soft and stretchy ultrasound patch can be worn on the skin. It monitors the blood flow to the major arteries and veins. So ultrasound is being conducted all the time. And knowing how fast and how much blood flows through a patient's body and through blood vessels is very important for the doctors, because it can help them diagnose various cardiovascular conditions, including blood clots, heart valve problems, poor circulation, blockage of the arteries. So this ultrasound patch developed by the University of California, San Diego, continuously measures and monitors blood flow. And not only that, it also monitors blood pressure and heart function. So wearing such a device could make it easier for the doctor to identify cardiovascular problems early on. So you don't have to go through the extensive medical treatment. Right at the beginning you have to see. And this patch can be worn on the neck or on the chest. What is special about the patch is that it can sense and measure cardiac visceral signals as deep as 14 centimeters inside the body. For example, now, a person like me who suffers from esophagus problem has to have endoscopy and gastric emptying system. But here, that, that thing of swallowing the cameras and keeping them inside is not required. I have a patch and it goes 14 centimeters inside my body, non-invasive matter, and the accuracy is much better than the accuracy of those cameras. It gives you a more comprehensive, more accurate picture of what's going on in the deep tissues and critical organs like heart and brain. So it's good for stroke as well. And all is done from the skin of the skin surface basically. So sensing signals at such depths is extremely challenging for wearable electronics. So if non-engineering graduate student at a lab came up with his scheme, and he was not an engineer, but he came up with his thought, and then his colleagues and his teachers came up. There's another innovative feature of this patch, that an ultrasound beam can be treated at different angles and steered to parts of the body that are not directly beneath the patch. So if you are wearing the patch, say on the neck, it can have a look at your prostate, your gallbladder, your liver, your spleen. Now, how it works? That's a major question. The patch is made of a thin sheet of flexible, stretchable polymer that adheres to skin. And on this patch is an array of millimeter-sized ultrasound transducers. Each transducer, which is so small that smaller than an atom, is controlled by a computer. And this type of array is known as ultrasound phased array. It's a key part of the technology because it gives the patch the ability to go deeper and wider. So these are the innovations. But before we close, we cannot compete with nature. We can catch up with nature, but cannot exceed it. Are you aware that your water purification, the new system, solar-driven water purification is now easier, but it's inspired by nature. Pufferfish provided the inspiration. The application area for nanotechnology in water application was amazing. And it has been seen that the pufferfish is our model for water purification. Can you ever believe that nature, what happens is pufferfish, when it moves into water, cleans the water outside. And how does it do it? It is absorbing the sun rays, and those sun rays then, it disintegrates those rays. Those disintegrating rays purify the water. And that's why they say put pufferfish in the most stinking water and the water would become pure. So what the scientists have done now is that they have analyzed the pufferfish skin, found those components and converted those components on nano basis, thereby utilizing the technology which nature had created to have water purification system. As I said, human ingenuity is unlimited, innovation is unlimited, but nature still inspires us, leads us. Thank you.